Following is a conversation with Kevin Bradford, the founder of Yield Labs and an avid user of everything crypto. During our conversation, we covered many topics related to obtaining financial freedom, how to achieve it, how to structure a plan to obtain it, and what it means to be truly free. One way to think of financial freedom is to consider your crypto portfolio the same way as a business perceives their balance sheet. Your assets should be yielding income that you can use to cover your bills or reinvest into growing your balance sheet. Like any other solid business, the more you can reinvest and the better the assets you are building up in your portfolio, the higher the income you should expect, putting you on the fast track to obtain financial freedom. We also talked about Celsius Network and as a current winner in the CeFi space, their upcoming equity round, and how DeFi might both help as well as challenge CeFi players like Celsius. Overall, a fascinating conversation with a human being worth following and listening to. My name is Mark Dencker, and this is my conversation with Kevin Bradford. So Kevin, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thanks. Really nice to connect with you. I wasn't aware of your work or you were in the community. So yeah, super happy to get to know you a little bit.
We all operate in stealth mode in this crypto and DeFi space, I guess. But you
it's crazy.
You are arguably one of the people that is on top of things in DeFi and everything crypto. I think you have, even on your Twitter bio, you have virtual asset addict or something like that.
That's it, yeah. Virtual money addict, I think that's about right.
That's it. So I guess an obvious question to ask someone like you is, what excites you? What is excited to you these days? What excites you about DeFi or anything in general that you're looking into right now?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's just the opportunity. It's like throughout my career, I kind of I ended up I worked in telecoms for a long time, and it was always kind of, I wasn't there at the birth of telecoms, so I kind of came in the middle somewhere when mobile devices started getting in everybody's hands and everyone started connected. So kind of towards the critical mass already using telecommunications, and then kind of it was just a downward slope. Everywhere was getting more and more connected, and there was kind of a race to the bottom. So I really enjoy this space because we're kind of just building everything and everything's brand new, and we get to kind of analyze things and make predictions and track trends, and there's never really any down days. There's very few projects that we kind of look at that going backwards. So I think the opportunity is what interests me, and I kind of wake up every day and just think, wow, what can we rather achieve rather than how much money can we save, because it was always a saving mentality at the end, and cost cutting and firing people and trying to pay people as less as we can. And I think it's just a space of abundance where we can kind of just do things for free, help people spend time, connect with people like yourself, and just do completely free content that just adds value to people.
Nice. I mean, it's funny, telcos and the telecom industry is being compared to crypto quite a lot. Where do you think we are if you compare crypto now, today in 2021, to the telecom industry? Which year do you think we're in?
I was very young when all this kicked off, so I didn't have the wherewithal to kind of know where we were. So I lived through it, but I kind of wasn't experienced enough to kind of understand where we were. So we're probably in kind of, I don't know, late 90s or something like that, I would say, right. Or it's somewhere in the 90s, I would say.
Makes sense.
We still don't have I think a lot of value has come over to this space, but I think the users and we don't have the applications that most people can use. There's still a huge barrier to entry, or friction, as I call it, interacting with some of these systems. So for people like us, it's easy, right? Because we train ourselves. But for the average mom and dad, there's no way that they can even set up a Coinbase account and go through the process. That's just too difficult for some people, and even though it's very simple and easy. So we still have the WhatsApp moment and all of these applications that you just click buttons and they're live, and it's seamless. So we still have those things to come.
Yeah, we're still missing a Steve Jobs, perhaps, that stands on stage with the iPhone, and then everybody starts to adopt crypto in this case.
Yeah.
And you talked about in a recent tweet, I believe, how crypto as a business, how businesses work for you. I'm just trying to quote
Mm.
here: businesses work for
Yeah,
you, so you don't have to. That sounds, I would say, quite appealing to anyone, having
yeah.
someone else or something else work for you. Maybe you can just elaborate a bit on that. Like, what did you mean, or what do you mean by having this crypto, this magical thing, work for you?
Yeah, so basically, I've kind of uh, just the whole of like I did a lot of work in 2020 and 2019, and then early 2020, I kind of just took a big step back after a lot of successful and some crazy price appreciation and everything that we did, and I just kind of started to think about things a bit more rationally and kind of from a different approach, like a contrarian approach. So I basically you
Mm.
looking at portfolios and kind of the traditional portfolio in crypto is just like a buy low, sell high. Like, how do we just get this, turn it into this, and then just sell it, and then we'll just go back to fiat, and then we
Mm.
just have some more assets and cars and houses, and we think we're rich and all these things. But looking at it is more of a kind of, especially with the tools that we have now to generate yield, all
Mm.
the different platforms that we can use, both CeFi and DeFi, and how we can basically look at the portfolio as a mini business with assets, liabilities. We could use leverage assets for debt positions, et cetera, just like you do in a business, and then
Mm.
basically have a cash flow and a revenue, a daily revenue, weekly revenue, all these different things. So turning the portfolio into a business, and like you keeping the mindset of like, right, this is my personal business, the mark business, or whatever you want to call it, and
Right.
how much am I making a week, rather than just looking at the big number saying, oh, my portfolio went down 2%, oh, I lost money today. Well, how much money
Mm.
did you actually make on based on that amount of capital that you have? How much is that producing you? So I look at it as kind of, that's the workforce. This is my workforce. This is a one-man business, but I have a pile of workers that are working for me in different platforms and doing different things and
Mm.
generating me. So I'm never actually going to sell the principal. The principal is just there. It will grow, and then I will use that to kind of just run my business. So that runs my business.
And I think that's surprising to a lot of people who are, especially people who are new to crypto, that not only can you obviously make a return on the crypto appreciating in value, buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever,
Mm.
but you can now put them to work in things like Celsius. You became almost like the poster child for Celsius, being part of the promotional video not too long ago. But that's a surprising fact for a lot of people, that now it's, once you're in crypto, it's relatively easy to make your crypto work for you, generating an income. So it's not just an asset, it's also an income. And yeah, as you
Mm.
say, you can also add it to different money markets, lending platforms like Aave, I guess is the biggest
Yeah.
one, where you deposit your crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, and then lend against it, or Celsius for that matter. So maybe we should
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about Celsius actually, because you know them quite well, obviously, being close to them. So what excites you about Celsius? Why is it a game changer? What's your
Yeah,
thoughts?
they invented the category, right? And I found Celsius
Mm.
at the white paper. I found it at the ICO. I invested in the ICO. Obviously, that
Mm.
wasn't a great investment at the time for the next 2 years, because that crashed like 90% the value of what I invested in. But because of the
Mm.
market conditions, right? And so they basically spent that whole time building this awesome product, and I basically watched it grow from the sidelines. I watched it very closely. I listened to every single piece of content. There actually wasn't much content back then, so to watch that platform evolve and watch a number of users come, and a large amount of capital come from a very reasonably small amount of users was amazing. I managed to connect with a lot of the team, and I spent a little bit of time with Alex talking to him, and I learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot from I made some friends in the company too. So it was an amazing journey to kind of watch them grow, invent the category, and they are the undisputed kind of, the track record in terms of fund management and security and all these things is impeccable, right? So
Mm.
we have to say that they, give them the kudos they deserves. It's not the
Mm.
only solution in the market now, and as time evolves, obviously there'll be competitors, and we have to rank the competitors fairly. We have to look, we
Mm.
have to give them time. We have to look at their teams closely, and see if they're delivering on what they say they're going to deliver on. Same with Celsius. We have to, just because they were the first doesn't mean they're not going to deviate from their mission. There is humans running this company, so we have to keep a close eye on what is happening, and anything that is deviating from the mission, we have to call it out. Right, this is part of the transparency ethos in the crypto space. So they're great. You know, Celsius is definitely something I hugely enjoy working with them over the years.
And just for context for the people listening in who doesn't know about Celsius, the link is Celsius Network, and
Yeah.
basically it allows you as a user to deposit stable coins, USDT, USDC, etc., and earn, I think it's around 10 to 12% on your stable coins. The rates change almost every week, I think. And then also, of course, crypto. So right now they are 100% focused on crypto kind of assets, stable coins, or just normal crypto native assets. But a lot of people who are close to Celsius, and I see a lot of YouTubers and all that, they start calling Celsius the Amazon of banking, because they are in many ways this bridge between the centralized finance world, the legacy finance world, people call them, and the new exciting crypto DeFi space, where a lot of people get exposed to crypto via Celsius. But do you agree with that statement? Do you think that Celsius will become, if they continue like they do now, the Amazon of banking?
They have the biggest shot, right? So they have the immediate network effect. They have the largest pool of assets, which is very important. At that position, they obviously leverage those assets in different ways rather than the smaller players. So everybody else is on catch up. Is everybody else meaningless? No. And I think it's very maximalist view to just kind of look at it that way. And I think people are going to miss a lot of opportunity if they look at it that way. But they have a great shot becoming a very meaningful piece of infrastructure. How that develops and kind of how do they get acquired, or how does that merger go, and all these different things. That's definitely it's definitely something we have to watch. It has the opportunity to do something different. I know they're putting a lot of controls in to try to make sure that these proof of community products and transparency and different things. So but also it is a centralized company, so we have to things can deviate, right? And anybody that thinks they can't, needs to wake up and look at history, because anytime there is always people and money and control equals, people make bad decisions, not malicious all the time, but that they do, right? And somebody else can take over the company, or anything could happen, right? The company could start performing very badly, it could lose funds. No, I don't think any of these things are going to happen, but we need to just keep an open mind. And they have a meaningful position in the market. I think it's a good example for other companies, and the security record is amazing and all of these things. And I've spoken to the security team at length. So yeah, they have a shot to become a big fund. I think they were on track before the correction to be one of the fastest fintech company in history. I think they're ranked second. So that's in itself shows you the kind of the caliber of the organization and the potential it has.
Yeah, and again, for context for the listener, I mean, Celsius is not just a new idea. They have, I believe, they surpassed 100,000 Bitcoin under management. They have the equivalent value of that, or more maybe, of Ethereum. I can't remember how much Ethereum that amounts to, but
A lot of Ethereum, yeah,
a
a
lot of
lot of
Ethereum.
Ethereum,
So,
yeah,
do you remember the assets under management? How much is it? The
yeah.
last
It
time I
got to
checked was 20. Yeah.
21 billion,
Wow.
21 billion at its peak. I guess we were at 17 billion and change or something like that now. And I think assets are still continuing to be deposited. I think the asset number is going up. I just think the value of the assets in the current short-term market conditions are going down. So over time, when the market, even if they don't grow, and then the kind of Bitcoin market in 2 years goes to whatever, 75, 85,000, you can do the math. So they're going to be at 50 billion, 30 billion, 100 billion. This is inevitable. And as all these assets appreciate over time and more users find the platform, understand how to onboard, they want to generate yield on stable coins and all these different things. So yeah, it's theirs to lose, and it's up to them to basically capitalize on their position and defend that position. And yeah, but they have a lot of advantages over the competition. Their loan team is best in class. I'm very good friends with the loan director, and what she has set up there is a world-class loan and lending department, and she's built it from scratch with a colleague. So you have to take your hat off at what has been achieved.
And I'm happy you bring that up. Actually, that was one of my points also that I want to get across, because a lot of these, so Celsius in general is CeFi, centralized finance. They still KYC people when you sign up and all that. And at the same time, they obviously are in crypto with stable coins and cryptos, etc. And it's a very, very different, difficult balance to strike, right? Because you have the guys that are fans of legacy finance and centralized finance. They don't necessarily like all these speculative crypto assets, as they would call it. And then you have people into DeFi and decentralization who are trashing sometimes even Celsius for being the centralized player in the space. So it doesn't really matter what they do, it seems. They will always receive some level of criticism. But what you mentioned about the borrowing and also liquidations. So again, for people, context for people, if you take a loan with Celsius, so let's say you deposit 1 Bitcoin, you can take a loan. I can't remember the loan to value that you can take, but let's say it's 60%. So you can basically take out a loan in dollars or stable coins, amounting to 60% of the value of the Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin drops in value dramatically, which has happened in the past, and I'm sure will happen in the future as well, every now and then you are in the risk of liquidation, as it's called. And what I've seen with Celsius and the loan officers and the people running this department, they have done in Celsius an incredible job. I've used, let's just take the other extreme, Aave, a DeFi platform that does the same, really, borrowing and lending assets. And that's all automatic. You don't have a person helping you to add more funds so you don't get liquidated and all that. They just do it. The protocol is programmed to do it. And I've lost, I think, over 3 times a lot of assets oh, something is going on here.
I think it's your microphone, maybe disconnected. But yeah, like I get what you're saying. So basically, yeah, like it's a hybrid approach. Knowing about the CeFi and the DeFi is kind of is very important, and we need to basically use both, right? I think being one-sided or the other is very, you're missing the point. And I think, taking loans in DeFi can be very dangerous. And I think that's an advanced topic for advanced users. I don't think the average, mom or dad or whoever just wants to, you don't get any warning. There's no alert that says add collateral. It's just kind of like, bang, there's your money gone. And if we look at March, we look at the Corona crash, we look at all these events, and there's going to be others, right? This is going to happen again. Billions of dollars liquidated. Goodbye, there's all your funds gone. I'll leave crypto, I'll never come back. And I think it's a scam. So I think using, centralized solutions to start with, and you get a buffer, they give you a warning, they try not to liquidate you, they want to keep you as a customer. Also understanding the decentralized, take $20 or $10, go and get liquidated on an automatic money market or a lending platform. Go and get liquidated on a loan and learn how it works. I think that's very useful too.
Exactly. And I hope my mic is back on. I'm sorry about that.
Good.
But basically the point I want to get across is that I believe Celsius in the last dramatic drop in the market, they had 0 liquidations. And
they had some. So like, yeah, but this is people that are just not responsible and kind of not responding to margin calls. You do get a buffer. I think personally Celsius should be a bit more aggressive with kind of aggressive. I think they should give people less chance, because they give people way too much chance, and they put, so they're not putting the loan book at risk, but they're very generous, is what I'm trying to say, in terms of the amount of time you have to arrange. All you have to do is kind of engage. If you give a response, you have extra time, and they take that risk on, right? So there's and I think as time goes on, they will probably get more aggressive, but they did liquidate, I think 17, 20 people or something in that crash, but they were just people who just blatantly just gave up, I guess, on their positions, didn't want to respond, didn't want to acknowledge anything. And then of course you're going to get liquidated. So they probably just, people don't understand the risks they're taking. They just took a loan, they thought it was free money, and then they're in trouble. So you're always going to get these people in life. It's sad, but it's unfortunate. We have to understand what we're doing, take the proper LTV, understand the terms and conditions, and respond when you're supposed to respond.
But I think it's an incredible service that they do to their community and the users of Celsius. I mean, when you compare it to DeFi again, Aave, there's just, too bad if you didn't watch your liquidation threshold. It's a bit similar for people who are not in DeFi. It's a bit similar to if somebody steals your credit card and then withdraws from the ATM. The bank normally will reimburse you if it's not your fault. It's the same thing here. It seems Celsius gives you a chance. They don't really reimburse you, but they give you a chance to do something about it before you get liquidated. And I think that
Yeah,
some applications like this is what is needed for the masses, and getting mass adoption and mainstream adoption, because people still needs to feel safe in a
yeah.
way, if you ask me at
That's
least.
it. That's it. But also, not everybody can access Celsius. So taking the maximalist approach, that Celsius is the
Mhm.
one and only, is great, right? But then when you live in some states of America, you live in other places, UK has
Mhm.
just been shut off. Yeah, okay, the loan functionality is still open, but like we can't onboard there. So looking at this one dimensionally is just, you're just missing the point. This is a category. This is
Right.
not a one-stop show, and this is not going to be it. And I think I've heard Alex say many times that he welcomes competition. Yes, the
Mhm.
competition needs to offer the same rates, things need to be sustainable, but also we need to let competition breathe and let them try and grow and let them fail. Like, let's
Mhm.
not just fail them before they even started. So yeah, we know the clear winner in the category at the moment. Does it mean they're
Mhm.
going to be the clear winner forever? I don't think it's a guarantee, but it's a high
Mhm.
probability. So that's just the way I look at it. And like, let's understand what the technology that's being built on the side in DeFi too, and discuss it properly.
Mhm. And that leads me to, I guess, an obvious question. Are you involved in the Celsius equity round? What I really like, by the way, before going into that, or if you encourage people to get into the Celsius equity round, is whether, I mean, what I really like is that Celsius opens it up. It really allows people to invest early on, not just a few VCs or hedge funds, but the people, the community. And they have been
Hmm.
from day one super focused on building a community. It's all about us, not them. And they do it also for their equity round. So is that something that you're interested in? Is that something you think others should be interested in? What's your take?
Yeah, obviously, like, I'm not, anything I say is not advised to go and buy any of this stuff, and it is difficult to kind of, and it's not financial advice, so it's difficult to get accredited to use Bank to the Future and these types of platforms to get hold of this. And obviously, if you're American, it's even more difficult because you have to have $1
Mm,
million, all this income, and be able to prove all this stuff. And then even once you've done all that, there's a cap on how many
mm,
people that can invest. I think it's 99 or 100. So of
mm,
course, like, I am actively really trying to build a equity portfolio in these companies. I want a well-rounded portfolio into, banking infrastructure, asset management infrastructure, lots of as many high quality equity offerings as we can get. But the problem is they don't come around very often, and
mm,
when they do come around, the A valuations of you have to take more risk. So that's where the high multipliers are, the B, and then it gets diluted a little bit. So I think, yeah, if anybody wants a diversification in terms of like away from ERC20 tokens and
mm,
tokens like that. Yeah, of course, these are higher quality plays in my opinion, and something you need to, like, it's highly illiquid, and yeah, there's secondary markets sometimes, but you need to basically lock that money away forever. So you need to adjust the risk, put a
mm,
meaningless amount of money to use, something that you can, if it goes to nothing, it's high risk, high return, and just forget it and come back in 5 years, and you might be rewarded. So seek them out, do a lot of research. Don't just pile into everything that comes up, because most 80-90% of what is available will fail, but
mm,
the ones that win will win very big. And Celsius is, I got in on the A round personally. People look back with hindsight like, oh, that was easy. It wasn't easy, right? Celsius at the time, 600 million assets under
mm,
management, 20,000 users. Next,
mm,
nobody knew about the platform. So that's a very
mm,
high risk play. Now in hindsight, it looks like it was obvious, but it wasn't. And the B round is much less riskier in my opinion, because it's a proven platform. It has the assets, it has the user base, has the traction. So yeah, the
mm,
multiplier will maybe be 20, 50, 20, 25% x from where it is, minus plus that, you have to factor in dilution as well. So it's still a
mm.
nice return. You put $1,000 in, you get
Sure,
$25,000 back one
for
day in
sure.
the future. So I think they're high quality. There was FV Bank as well, which is a meaningful piece of
Mm,
infrastructure, which I think they're building there, blending the traditional and crypto banking infrastructure together. So look on back to the future and keep watching for these, and to take your time and be selective on what you invest in, and just risk manage it basically, because you might not get these funds back for a long time, if ever.
Yeah. And I mean, the people who say, that was easy, is the same people that say Bitcoin was easy or Ethereum was easy, years after it was a very, very good opportunity, and Bitcoin was low, etc. Because back then, I mean, Bitcoin is still speculative. So you can imagine 5 years ago, Ethereum, same story. I mean, all these coins and decentralized networks, protocols, I mean, they seem obvious when you look at it now, but back when it started, Aave, for example, I mentioned a few times, which I also invested in early. That wasn't obvious that they were going to win. They were used to be called ETH Lend, and they've been sort of
Yeah,
struggling, bouncing back and forth. And I mean, back then nobody knew if this was going to go anywhere, or if they keep bouncing back and forth, and then it just took off, right?
yeah.
So yeah,
the
it's the
whole
same people.
concept the whole concept of lending and borrowing was not easy, right? I was there at the beginning, but like all these people piling in now, they're like, oh, this is easy, like I get it. Like there was
Mm,
no DeFi, there was no lending and borrowing. All you could do was take Bitcoin and do this. Yeah, there was a promise that we could be able to do this, but you have to remember the context of when we invested in these platforms. It was a deep bear market. He has any
mm,
altcoins, there was no guarantee any of this was even going to come back, because it had gone through this mega hype cycle, this crash. Everyone's like, oh, well, it was obvious it was going to come back. No, it wasn't. Like, so we had to adjust our risk accordingly. So, I invested in Cell Token at a very low price, but I didn't go silly. At that time, I put a amount of money that didn't, if it was gone, so what? So,
mm,
and I'm very proud that I didn't go all in, and, and I managed my risk properly, because
mm,
I'm going to be able to generate wealth and keep wealth over time, rather than just going 100% all in on these speculative tokens, and then
mm,
rewarding ourselves when it goes right. That's like a really bad mentality, and it's an
mm,
unprofessional mentality. So I try and educate people. Just take 1%, 2% of your portfolio, whatever it is. You
mm,
want to go crazy, 5%, and just watch these things very carefully.
mm. Yeah, I mean, true wealth is built over long periods of time. It's not, there's no shortcut. If you find a shortcut, or what seems to be a shortcut, is probably a scam, especially in crypto.
Yeah, it's just 100% true. It takes time, and when you look at what it takes to hit 100x on a token, it's very, very hard to do, and it takes an immense amount of like
Mm,
fortitude and
mm,
conviction and work to be able to do that. Or you just buy it, come back in 3 years later and open the wallet. That's also a viable strategy, but there's just not many people that can do that, because most people are just checking the price all the time. They're like,
mm,
how's it doing, what's happening?
mm,
So it's very, very hard to hit these things. So let's not try and hit these things all the time. let's
mm,
let's let's focus on the bigger picture, and then like generation of revenue, like slow, stable growth in your portfolio. And then let's keep the speculation down, but let's also have fun with the speculation, because it is fun, but that's not 100% of your portfolio.
yeah,
That should be a small percentage. And if it turns 1% to 10% to 20% of your portfolio, that's really meaningful. Let's not try and get a portfolio from zero and then like have a token that just overruns the portfolio through growth. That's not sensible, and you're going to have this boom and bust cycle in your portfolio, and then you're just going to like hate yourself forever. Does that happen?
exactly. And mostly people that talk about these massive home runs that they make, they don't really talk so much about when when they were swinging the bat and didn't hit anything. Rather the opposite, they lost everything, the bat and and what else they could lose. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
also people asking. I've been in Aave quite early, Celsius or Cell quite early, and Matic, and those were obviously my home runs. But then there's 10, 20, 30 other projects that didn't mature into anything, which people don't really want to ask about. They don't want to hear about it. They just want to hear about the good stories, right?
yeah. That's it. And it's like you have to find something that's not. So you have to look at what a home run takes, right? So to get a home
Mm,
run, it has to be something that's never done before. So you have to have the vision that this thing is
mm,
going to happen that's never happened before. So like when you actually break down and you look at what it takes to do this, it's actually very, 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 very hard to like
mm,
find a category that was never invented, and then be the person that has the guts to even find it, then invest it with conviction, and then wait for like 3 years and watch it and track it. So
exactly.
the average person can't do this, and they can't achieve it. a lot of people in crypto did, like, well done. But once you did, then you need to like act professionally with your portfolio and kind of not try and do it again, because there's very few people. I know a lot of the Celsius community, they did it twice with Matic. They found that one too. So, congratulations. But they probably only found Matic because it was 18% and it was like, oh, look, that's a higher yielding token. I'll just put it in. So
Exactly.
like there was a lot of fortune with a lot of this stuff. So we have to like really think critically, like, how did we achieve this? Was it a fluke? Is it repeatable? And a lot of the time it's not repeatable. If you do it twice, like, well done, you're one of the very few people in the world that will ever be able to do that. So now you've done it twice, so now even more so you need to manage your portfolio properly, generate a revenue stream, sit back, stop taking risk, protect the capital, like all these things. And this is what we try and kind of promote, rather safe investing, risk adjusted returns, not going crazy all in on one platform, put a little bit in these other places, learn all these types of things, long-term approach.
Exactly. And that's what Alex also preaches a lot. Alex, the CEO of Celsius Network. I mean, the rich basically has for centuries, they bought assets that were solid or projects that were solid and then lend against it. And with Celsius and similar services, they allow the everyday person who's in crypto, of course, but the everyday person access to be able to do the same, lend against solid assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatnot. And I think that's really beautiful. The whole mission around that, because it is truly gratifying, and a lot of people have reached financial freedom by doing this. Exactly, being patient and lending against when you needed money, because you still have to pay your bills, and lending against your assets. Don't go too crazy. Don't get liquidated. But yeah, now it's an option for people.
Yeah, it is an option. It's a great option. And this crypto space is so fluid and it moves so fast that basically you can be right today on what you're doing, and you're not going to be able to, you make money doing one thing and you make a lot of money. You're not just going to be able to keep repeating that trend. This is one thing I've learned. Like you have to know when to stop, and you have to know when something's finished and the risk reward is gone. When the risk reward is gone, you have to be able to adaptable and move. And humans don't like move. They don't like changing. They don't like changing approach. They feel uncomfortable. They like to do what they know. And so it's a very hard skill set to kind of to develop and to achieve. So this is what we kind of, with our group that we have, we try and like promote this via calls and just kind of help people kind of with methodology and like mindset on kind of what it takes, and not to feel so out of control all the time.
Yeah, and on that note, patience and the group that you work with, getting yield over long periods of time. Don't go after the quick schemes. You've set up this yield labs. What is that about? What are you trying to achieve with the yield labs?
So we've touched on a lot of the points already, kind of like and the mythology. So basically, everything, all of the above. We set up a group that we believe that we are some of the experts from an external perspective and from a consumer perspective. And obviously, we didn't work in any of these companies or get compensated by any of these companies, but we've watched these things grow from a community perspective. We've helped, grow communities. We've achieved a lot when we kind of look back and write down what we've done. So we basically collaborated our efforts to kind of formalize and put a wrapper around it. And we want to investigate all of the yielding options. So, we are going to upset people by looking at things that they're not currently looking at. We are going to keep an open mind. We're not going to just say this is the one and only solution. And we're going to hold. So we're basically creating an open community where we provide this open information just in Zoom calls, and any of your users or listeners are welcome to come and join us. So an open discussion with high quality panelists like yourself, and we can have these debates and then share our opinions, and hopefully everything is in the best interest of our community. We kind of trying to help them create stability in portfolios and generate revenue with taking less risk while they can increase their assets, their portfolio size at the same time. So a lot of deep dive data, glass nodes, analysis, on-chain analysis, like in the moment, blockchain analysis, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, everything that we have kind of have the skill sets. And we're trying to basically do that as one piece as a community. Also work with companies in the space to kind of help them grow their products. And we can say like, hey, look, we have all this experience. We've seen this done before. work with us, we can help work with you. We take a portion of that money, we give it back to the community for free as giveaways and like incentivifications. So we're basically trying to create this awesome ecosystem where we don't need to do it for money. We are going to do like business to business services as well. We're going to do like yield as a service. We have a lot of different avenues and things we can do, almost too much to do. And we have a data analytics business built in as well, where we can do Power BI to help crypto companies with their enormous data sets, kind of present these in a nice manner and help them with business intelligence and decisions. So we just have this crazy amount of intelligence and knowledge, and we're just going to formalize it into a group and then just offer a lot of this out to your listeners and other people, just to kind of help them and show them what is good, what bad. And if we get it wrong, like show us that we've got it wrong, and we'll kind of adjust our approach, and then how to structure this into a portfolio. So that's a lot of things that I just said, but that's kind of and we just focus on yield generation. We don't focus on like, Ethereum style platforms and blockchain platforms. So it's a huge category that's being built. And we believe that we can really help people to kind of navigate and understand this.
Nice. I think the whole yield category and the yield space is super fascinating. And for someone like me who's followed crypto and blockchain for a long time, it still fascinates me. So I can only imagine people who are just getting into crypto and DeFi.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just such a clear path for a lot of people to financial freedom, and whatever that means for you. You don't have to go crazy and have millions of dollars put into crypto and then yield from that. You can just pay your rent, or even less, pay your for your lease of your car, or whatever financial freedom means to you, and then you can have a plan for building up to it. And just to share my piece, I'm no expert whatsoever. You're way more advanced than I am, but the way I do it, I deposit on Celsius, of course, that we talked about at length. I use different DeFi platforms and yield farms, as they're called. And what I do is I deposit my original amount, my originally invested amount, and then at some point the projects that I look at is always like solid projects. It's not these sort of newcomers that promise thousands of percentage points in yield. They're pretty good yield still on a compared to the centralized finance space, but not as high as some of these crazy projects. So look at the project that is solid, and then every now and then, let's say this week, some token jumps up in value. Recently, for example, I'm very much into Litintry. That just popped up in value. And whenever that happens for a certain token, I take out the yield that I've generated over the past month or whenever it popped up last time. And then I convert into either stable coins if I want to be sort of safe, the safe haven, or into some of these bigger coins, Ethereum, etc. That's my strategy. Like I compare it to a farmer that has all these mushrooms, and every now and then a mushroom pops up in my field, and then I take that mushroom home, and then I convert it into something else.
You cook it for dinner, and then you just make some nice food for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the way. Yeah, look, that's a viable strategy, right? And that's, you understand risk, you understand what you're doing, you understand your approach, and it's working well. And this is the thing, and none of this has to be like that hard. If we just start with the basics, using dollars. Let's not buy speculative assets to start with when we don't understand what we're doing. Let's not lose half our value within the first month of crypto. Like, that's a shame, and that's going to like really cause a lot of emotional trauma that you're basically going to start trying to chase. And so let's keep our mindsets in good position. And people don't talk about this often enough. Like, and this is why I try with my clients, try and just keep your mindset in one piece, keep your portfolio at least 80% of what you started with, and then you've got a chance to do something. If you over time we can kind of grow. If you lose so much so quickly, then you're basically wiped out, and then you're back to where you started. So let's not do that, because that causes so much pain in the brain. People just say, oh, well, it's easy, I'll just buy something else. It's not. It causes you so much mental trauma, sleepless nights, stress. And the whole idea of financial freedom is that you're free. So you're not trying to cause like excess pain for yourself, and it catches up with you. Like, and I know this because I did it all myself. Right, I got it all wrong before I started to get it right. So I am qualified to kind of explain like how that feels, because it feels really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of examples in the centralized finance world, like Warren Buffett and all these very successful investors. It's small steps over a very long period of time that can build you incredible wealth and
Mm.
freedom, financial freedom.
Yeah,
And that's what people miss at times. And it's very tempting, right? When you see something pop up, you're very tempted to go all in, right? And okay, it's gonna continue, and then it crashes, and then you're wrecked. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, mental
Part of
stress on
our
that.
philosophy, yeah, part of our philosophy is not to make maximum gains, right? We're not trying to hit maximum gains. So like I almost reward myself mentally when I see things that go up and they don't fit my criteria. I just say, and it goes up, and I don't say, oh, I should have made that money. I actually reward myself for not making the money. So I give myself a mental like, okay, well done. You stuck to your rules. You're still alive. You didn't lose anything. You didn't make anything, but you didn't lose nothing, and you didn't break your rule set. Because if you keep breaking your rule set, you'll end up breaking it, and then you'll end up losing. Like everything you made, you'll lose back, and it just causes stress again. So you have to have a coping mechanism to not try and make maximum gains, because it's maximum today and minimum given back tomorrow. As we saw it in this recent crash. Everyone was a genius. Everyone was laughing at me all year, like, okay, you're not doing very well this year. I didn't lose hardly anything in the crash. So like I'm doing fine, thanks. Like it's and my revenue actually went up significantly through that correction. So that's just my approach. Other people, if you're a better trader and you want to do that sort of stuff, then that's fine. But everyone has an approach. It's not about doing just what I say, but it's understanding what your approach and what you're actually doing. Most people don't even understand themselves what they're actually trying to do.
So let's say I'm listening to this podcast, and I'm thinking there, I don't have any crypto. I'm not into this space. This is the first time I hear about it. And say, okay, Kevin and Mark, this all sounds great. I got $1,000. If you were him or her listening to this with $1,000, what would you do, Kevin, getting into all this?
So first thing is just start with dollars, right? So get it, on ramp it, and if you can on ramp it, you can even peer-to-peer on ramp. I've seen a lot of this now where people will sell you stable coins for cash and things like this. I'm not saying that's a recommended route or anything, because you've got to be careful who you're buying off. But if you get a friend to help you onboard the money, whatever way that is, basically centralized on ramp is the safest solution. And then basically play with the dollars. So you've got two choices. You deposit at Celsius, easy. You just that's the lowest friction entry. They've got an application on your phone. You just you can't really get it wrong. That you just have to make sure the addresses are right. Most of the tokens on there are ERC20 anyway, so you can't really send things to the wrong place. They'll help you if you do get things wrong. But first of all, before you understand it, you're sending, just make sure you do a bit of research, and then play with the dollars. Put them Celsius or put them on Aave. That's the way to start. And then once you do that, Aave, the rates are reduced at the moment, but you're earning more than you're earning in your bank, and you're learning. And I think trying to keep the $1,000 intact would be my my recommendation. And basically for 1 to 2 to 3 months, if you can make $50, it's 50 more than you had before, and then you'll become advanced. You can start using Terra. You can start using cross-chain things. You can start looking at other applications. Like you can look at Yield app. You can look at like anything you want to look at, basically. But start with the basics and don't lose your capital, and just stick with dollars. Don't buy any Bitcoin. Don't buy any Ethereum. And until you know what these assets are and what they do and how much they yield, or if you don't want to yield, or how to put them on a ledger, learn with dollars and just keep it in one piece would be my recommendation.
Nice. And doing so over long periods of times, small steps along the way, that I think has been proven by so many people that can build financial freedom and wealth, depending on whatever your goal is. A lot of people also
Yeah.
suggest to make a plan, just so you stick to it and don't get tempted to go crazy buying whatever asset is pumping. I don't know if you guys do that with your labs, like help people make plans, financial plans for themselves, or is that up to them?
Now, what we basically try and do is teach people. So we do have I have a lot of high net worth people reach out to me, want exposure to crypto, but they don't want volatility. we can get them in a high yielding strategy, and we just teach them to do it themselves. Like, so we're not doing it for them. We're going to offer services where we can manage accounts and different things, but like what we want is people to be self sovereign and do it all themselves. That's our kind of goal. We're happy to help clients. We're happy to do whatever we want to do, any combination. Some people, they're even in crypto. I see this a lot, and they have millions of dollars in stable coins, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know where to put it. They put it into altcoins, they're losing it, they're getting stressed. So like there's solutions for that too. So just make sure we have, a clear plan, start with dollars. And before you know it, you need to learn what MetaMask is. You need to learn all these things, Bitcoin. When you know all of this, then we can kind of, take a little bit of risk somewhere.
Definitely. And you mentioned, we talked about at length CeFi with Celsius and other players. We mentioned briefly Aave. You just mentioned the Terra ecosystem, which is getting a lot of attention these days. Is there anything in particular that excites you about DeFi right now that's going on in the industry?
I think a lot of it's exciting. Obviously, like I'm not a smart contracts engineer, so like to fully get in the weeds and kind of understand how vulnerable some of these things are is hard. I think the ability to insure these products is very exciting to me. So we can use things like Terra, Anchor, and then you take an insurance policy with higher net worth clients, and then they basically are earning a very nice, we can earn them whatever 13-14% on their money insured. So that's amazing. I think that's awesome. That's like to use, monetizing treasuries for companies that way, with a percentage or whatever they want to do, monetizing high net worth, giving them exposure to crypto via these things, especially some that I can't access because of regulations. That really excites me, and that's something we're definitely working on to try and build more products and awareness to say, okay, like, use this. It's 99% safe. It's as safe as a bank. It's got insurance. You're covered. And a lot of these insurance products are going to like really mature, I think, as we go.
That's really the beauty of decentralization and smart contracts in particular. There's also on Ethereum, I followed a few projects like Nexus Mutual, you might have heard of,
This is one of them.
and Armor, who is exactly doing this, like having insurance on certain smart contracts and whatever risk that you want to mitigate. I think personally, it's only a matter of time before big lending markets, money markets will implement this. I'm not so familiar with the Terra ecosystem, but for example, a platform like Aave, it makes so much sense that they would implement some kind of insurance offer or whatever you call it, where you just click a button and then boom, your assets are insured in some shape or form.
It's already on Terra. You can do that. Like, so if you look at Anchor, like you can do that already. It's got a big tab at the top, insure this thing. You can take the cover if you want. I think it's 2.5%. So, if you can work out how to get your funds over to Terra without losing them in the bridge, like congratulations, because you can earn like 19.5% on stables and UST. Which is crazy, right? Like that's amazing. So obviously manage the risk. Don't put it all over there. Put $1 over there to start and see if it works. So all of these things are really cool, and we can really build products and services off the back of them to help people that have no chance of getting into this ecosystem get into this ecosystem in a safe, risk managed approach. That's kind of what we're really trying to promote.
Awesome. Another example that I also came across, I think this week, even just paints a picture of how fast this industry is moving. People like us who are following it closely, every day when we open up Twitter, we see something announced, and then okay, now we can do this. So every day it's just moving so fast. And I was hit by Element Fi, which now offers fixed rates on whatever you deposit. So a lot of people criticize crypto for being very volatile for good reasons, including the yield rates. So one day, if you use Aave, for example, it would be this, and then another it would be that. But Element Fi has managed to basically offer fixed rates over, I think, 3 or 6 months, kind of like from bonds, really. They don't have years yet, but that's in the making, I'm sure. That I think is a very, very big, especially for institutions, innovation that will bring some adoption for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? And we're already starting to see companies build these products out with this in the background, and then they're just offering these services, but it's kind of like they put a nice wrapper on the front of it. And then behind are these services like this. So it's already happening. It takes time, and we just got to kind of just keep watching, understand. And also the borrow side of these platforms are crazy on DeFi, where it literally incentivizes to borrow, like hundreds of percent incentivization to borrow on some of them, just to kind of balance the pools and stuff. So it's really, really cool technology.
Yeah, that's how I knew about Terra, actually, that they offer insane incentives for borrowing money to get the ecosystem growing, I presume. In my experience, I know Matic or Polygon has done the same on Aave, where basically when I borrowed DAI, USDC, whatever stablecoin, I would obviously pay an interest on that, but I would be incentivized with Matic tokens. So if I believe the Matic token is not going to drop tank dramatically, and the percentage of rewards that I would be getting from as incentive from the Matic protocol, then I'm basically being paid to borrow money, which is crazy, right?
It's nuts. It's crazy, right?
Awesome, Kevin. But I don't want to take your whole day. We could go on and on and on about DeFi and lending, borrowing, and all these things happening. Is there anything in the end that you want to get off your chest?
No, I just think it's exciting time. I think let's keep open minds. Follow me at crypto_flipping, and follow at Yield Labs, all one word, on Twitter. Look out, welcome to join our community. It's very inclusive and free and open. So like we have high quality panelists. Come and listen, ask questions, watch, find the YouTube channel through our Twitter channels. Join our Telegram. Like there's so much you can do. I can't answer all the questions specifically when people reach out to me, but we have a team of people now that are gonna we're gonna work and try and answer more questions, be more consistent, offer consultancy services if people want them. No pressure to take them, but if you need that, you have a lot of money and you want to kind of talk to someone and not without just pressing buttons first, then we can offer advice and different things, and just give our experience and our knowledge on just on how they can help to do it themselves. And I just want to make sure that people don't lose all their capital when they're entering this ecosystem, because it's like a honey trap. It's very easy to just click it away in buttons. So yeah, reach out to me on all those things. We can do another session if you want, and in the future, and we can just go deeper into some of these topics.
Definitely. I'll pick you up on that. But thank you so much for now, Kevin, and stay safe wherever you are, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.